Hey friends, I'm Stephanie and I live in a Tesla with my pets Snow and Finley. The boys and I have lived in the Tesla for over a year total now and explored all sorts of beautiful places. This summer, we've been spending most of our time on beautiful Vancouver Island, and today we're taking you with us to TOFINO. I prefer to free charge whenever possible so that I can save a bit of money, but today the free charger is broken, so we're stopping at a supercharger before heading out. Our total cost was about $30 for 40 kilowatts. We're only about 3 hours away from TOFINO, so this will get us all the way there. I decided to stop on the way at one of our favorite walk spots called Cathedral Grove. Before I had the boys, I could road trip for hours, but since I've got them in the car now, I try to stop fairly frequently to give them a little break. This walk at Cathedral Grove is actually one of our favorites. It's a short boardwalk, and it's also an on-leash trail. When I'm walking with both Snow and Finley, I always walk in on-leash areas just to try to mitigate any issues with off-leash dogs. We've had a few incidents in on-leash areas now where people did not have their dogs on leash, and a few have even tried to eat Finley, so I'm pretty cautious now.
Good job, thank you. Very nice.
What do you think, dude?
Nice spot. Yeah, nice spot.
Whoa, look at how big that tree is.
Look at them. Wow. They are so cool. I absolutely
Little
love
butt.
it out here.
Caught a fern at some point.
This is tough to walk on. You're a pro. Come this way. You cannot go into the park. Thank you. The fence is here to keep Finley out. Unfortunately, that would be a nice playground though, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Boy, Finley, let's go.
Yeah, good boy, Snow. Come on, little Finn. Good job. Look at the sun. It's golden hour, boys. Yeah, golden hour. Wow. Wow.
Good boy, Fins. Come on. With the boys all tuckered out, we are ready to tackle the last 2 hours of our road trip to TOFINO. My camera is probably bouncing around a little bit because I am driving and it's attached to my windshield, so I apologize about that. I'll try to keep it a little bit steadier for you. I get a lot of questions from you guys that I have been meaning to answer, and I just have not had time to sit down and film, so we've got 1 hour and 40 minutes now. I figured this would be the perfect time to chat. One of the first questions that of course comes up all the time is, why do I live in a Tesla? And it's actually kind of a long story. My adventure began in 2019 when I was still working a regular full-time job at Costco. I lived in Alberta and I decided to buy a condo. I was so excited. That was something that I had been working up to for years at that point. And so I went and bought the condo, moved in, and within about 2 months I realized I had made a massive mistake. I didn't really like the condo. It didn't really feel like home. It didn't even really feel safe to me. And moving in actually triggered a bunch of like old PTSD stuff that I didn't even know I had to deal with. So within a few months of buying the condo, my mental health had just taken a massive slide. My managers were noticing and asking if I was okay. Everyone was telling me to go to a doctor or see like a psychiatrist or something because everyone could tell that I wasn't okay. And then one day I caved and I did go to see my family doctor, who said, you know what? This sounds a lot like anxiety. I think we're just gonna take you out for a little break from work. You're gonna be fine. It's gonna be 3 weeks and then you're gonna be good to go. And at first I fought her on that because it was inventory time at Costco. And if anyone has worked at Costco, you know that inventory season is very serious in the building. And so I literally said to my doctor, I can't go off right now. Like, it's inventory next week. I'm gonna have to wait till after that. And she said, no, I'll call your manager for you so that you don't have to call. It'll be great. I was like, okay. Then she hooked me up with a therapist that she had in office, and I started seeing her weekly. And within a couple of sessions, I had had a massive mental breakdown sitting in her office where she realized like there was a lot more going on under the surface, and it was a lot of things too that had to deal with like an ex-partner that I had dated who wasn't very great, and a few other random things that came up in there that I had known at the time they weren't great situations, but I decided to just move past them and not dwell on them because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. But it turns out that sometimes when you put things in a little box in your brain, box sometimes gets a little over full when you keep shoving stuff in there, and one day it explodes, and when that happens, it is game over. You have to deal with all of those things that you put in that little box, and you don't get to put it to the side anymore. So that happened. Basically, once that little box was open, there were a bunch of things inside of it that really needed to be addressed. So we worked on that for a few months, and while I was on that first 3-week leave, COVID also hit. So that was a whole other thing. As soon as that was going on, my doctor was like, you know what, like, I think we're just gonna keep you out for a little longer because no one knows what's going on right now. So like, we don't know, it's not gonna help your anxiety to go back to work during this, so you might as well just wait. And in that time, I've probably been off for about 6 months total now, just doing a lot of therapy and fostering cats, because I decided that was the other thing that I could do to help myself, was foster some cats. Because I didn't have to leave the condo to do it, but it gave me something to love and take care of within the condo. And I already had Finley at that time, but people were telling me that I should have a second cat for him as well, so he had a buddy, and I knew that I wanted to maybe travel at some point, so I didn't want to adopt a second cat for sure, but I figured having some more cats around would be really nice. So all of this was going on, and I just woke up one day and realized I didn't want to go back to my old life. I didn't want to go back to the job I had. I didn't really want to continue living in the condo even. And I didn't know what to do about that. So I had been watching some van life people for years already at that point. It had kind of been an idea in my mind kicking around. It's not like it came out of nowhere at that point, but I just all of a sudden was like, you know what, if the world is going to turn into this place where we're not even allowed to leave our houses, then maybe I would rather be living in a van that I could park at the bottom of a mountain or something. That sounds great. And then I started to look into vans, and I realized that to get the kind of van that I'd been seeing on YouTube, it was going to be like $150,000 to $200,000 Canadian, which is not cheap. So I obviously couldn't do that just willy-nilly, and I decided that I would try the lifestyle out and see how I felt about it before I bought a van, just to make sure that I actually enjoyed like living the vehicle lifestyle. And so to do that, I actually moved into the car that I had at the time, which was a Mitsubishi Lancer. It was a 2017. It's about the size of a Honda Civic, and it was just me and Finley at the time, so we didn't need as much space as we need the snow, but it still was it was quite small. And there also wasn't anything like the climate control, so I couldn't run the heat or AC all night. But within a few days of trying that, I realized that I loved it, and I knew that that was the right choice going forward. So I told the shelter that I was fostering for that I couldn't foster anymore, and I started slowly getting all of the cats that I had sent off to different houses or adopted out, whatever I could do. I started getting rid of all of my stuff. I either packed it up to go to storage, gave it away, or donated it for the most part. I tried to sell what I could, but I decided that I was moving so quickly that I didn't give myself that much time to sell stuff, so most of it just got donated. And then I found a rental company to rent out my condo with, so I got them involved. They got a renter into my condo right away, and I've had the same renter in that condo for almost 3 years now, which is amazing. And with that, Finley and I took off. We explored Alberta for the first few months. It was actually winter when we did that also, so it was winter in Canada. It was absolutely freezing. I do not recommend that to anyone. It was not a super wise choice, but at the same time, I kind of loved it. Like, I think I really needed to know that I just could do that, and I could make a choice to go do what I wanted to do. It was really empowering, and I just went off and started living. And I was still on my leave from Costco as well, so I was still getting paid from Costco at that point, but I was waiting for an appointment with another doctor that had been pushed months in advance because of COVID. Within that time, when I was exploring Alberta and waiting for my appointment, I ended up meeting someone, which was not the plan at all, but that's what happens sometimes. And so he invited me to move my car into his garage, because he had a couple of garages at the house that he lived at. And he said, you know, you can use this as a home base. You can just like park the car, your house. in my house, basically, and then I didn't have to worry about things like the bathroom while COVID was going on, because there were a lot of things that were going on with things like truck stops that they didn't want people using the bathrooms unless they were truck drivers, in an attempt to protect the truck drivers who did need to work through that. And I was, of course, trying as hard as I could to not take advantage of things like that. So it ended up being actually kind of the perfect situation, because I had access to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to, you know, the garage that just wasn't in the elements all the time. But then I also had my own space if I wanted it. And at first, we had thought that COVID was only going to go on for like 2 more weeks. It turned into 2 more weeks, and 2 more weeks, and 2 more weeks, until all of a sudden, I'd been living with him for 6 months. And I'm sure all of you already know how that goes. Like, it started out being like, oh, we'll just hang out once in a while. But by the time the 6 months was over, we both had been pretty much alone the whole time, aside from each other. So we had built a pretty solid relationship that neither one of us really expected. And it kind of threw a wrench into both of our plans, because he was preparing to move back to the States and I was preparing to move back into my car and travel. So he asked if I wanted to move to the States with him, and I decided that what I had wanted to do was travel, so I might as well go to the States with him then, I guess, and see the States. That wasn't really one of my goals originally, but I was like, you know what, whatever, like, maybe this is the universe just telling me where I should go next. So I did that, and we went to Austin, Texas first, which was absolutely beautiful, but so expensive to live. And then after a few months there, we ended up moving to Las Vegas, where the property was a little bit cheaper, and I admittedly don't love Vegas, but he really liked it, so that was great. Unfortunately, the relationship did not end up working out. We made it about 3 years with a little bit of on and off going on, but it just wasn't the right fit at the end of the day. We're very different people, and we care a lot about each other, so it makes it hard to then, like, leave the relationship when there's not really, like, neither of us are mad at each other or anything. It just isn't the right fit, if that makes sense. But with that being said, I had moved to the States, and at that point I had quit my job at Costco. So I was basically doing like a homemaking type of thing for him, that I would make sure the pets were taken care of, the house was taken care of, meals were taken care of, all of that stuff. And since we were in the States, I couldn't work because I was coming down to visit on tourist visas. So we made a deal when we moved down there that if the relationship for some reason did not work out, he would make sure that I was financially taken care of for a little while, so that I was not completely screwed going home, because that could be a really scary situation. And so when we did finally break up, he actually gifted me the Tesla to take back to Canada with me, so that I could road trip home and then go back to living in a car. I get a lot of hate comments about that, but I really did not ask for the Tesla or expect it. It was offered, so I really appreciate that that's how he decided to take care of me, and he had a shiny new Model S waiting for him like the week after I left, so he's all good to go. But I left, and obviously breakups are hard enough on their own, but when you're not sure where you're going or what you're doing next, and like, we had this whole life planned together about what we were going to be doing. We had been talking about like a small homestead and things like that. So it just really threw a wrench into everything that I thought I was doing, which is okay. And I think that's sometimes maybe what needs to happen. And it has sent me on a beautiful, grand adventure. So I like to think that it's working out as it's supposed to, but some days I still have days where I'm really not doing well with that situation. Anyway, that's what happened. That's how I ended up living in the Tesla, and at this point I could sell the Tesla and move into something like a van, but not paying for fuel and having the access to dog mode and camp mode are too important to me currently to swap to a new vehicle. So my mind is always kind of thinking about different things, different options, what I could be doing, but for now I actually do really like the Tesla. One of the second questions I get all the time is, how does your family feel about you traveling? And honestly, they're pretty good about it. We definitely had a few tense conversations when I first moved out about it, because I don't know who wouldn't. I think most parents would have some concerns with their kiddo moving into a car and traveling. And especially someone who is coming off of a mental health leave the way that I was, like my whole family kind of just thought that I didn't know what I was doing, which honestly is very fair. Anyway, it's now been about 3 years. I've lived in a car for a year and a half total, I think. So everyone now knows that it's fine and it's all good, but there definitely were a few conversations at first that everyone had concerns. The third question that I get constantly is, why do I live in a Tesla and not something larger like a van or bus? I did mention this briefly, but we can go into a little bit more detail. So I did actually test drive a few vans, and one of the top concerns that I had with them was that I wasn't super comfortable driving them. I have pretty much always driven a small car, so to go from something like that to a big Sprinter van or anything like that is going to be an adjustment, which is fine, and I know that I can handle it. But it's also kind of intimidating, and I do get a lot of driving anxiety as it is, so just being in something that makes me really comfortable is kind of nice. One of the other big things is the gas bill that comes with those vehicles is going to be astronomical. Now I kind of zip around wherever I want because I'm not paying for charging most of the time, which means that I have a lot more freedom to go great distances without thinking a ton about it. Another big game changer with the Tesla is the dog mode and camp mode. Both of those allow me to run the AC or heat without having the car like running. It just runs the climate basically. One of them I can leave the dogs in the car and not worry about them. It'll keep the interior camera running. I can check it from my phone, and then the heat or AC with whatever I set it to. The other one will keep the climate running all night in the car for me, so that when we're sleeping in here, it is perfectly temperature controlled all night. So we've actually slept in blizzard to minus 30 degrees Celsius, which is pretty darn cold. And we've also slept in the desert in heat up to about 30 degrees Celsius. The car is almost always a perfect 19 degrees inside, so I don't have to worry about the pets being safe, and I don't have to worry about myself being comfortable, which if I were to switch to a bus or van, you can of course install things like heaters and AC. It just is a little bit more time consuming, and it takes a little bit more thought to make sure that everything works out nicely. Another big perk of the Tesla is having the security cameras. I am able to run those all night if I want to, or all day if I'm leaving the car somewhere. And I know that cameras don't necessarily stop people from breaking into a car. However, I do think it's a deterrent a lot of the time, and I also like having the peace of mind that at least if something happens, I'm going to know about it right away. Big question number 4, where do I go to the bathroom? Living in a car, I obviously do not have access to a toilet at all times, so I do have to plan my bathroom stops a little bit ahead of time just to make sure that there will be something, and what I do changes a little depending on where I am. If I'm in a city, I use a lot of public bathrooms. I will make sure that I use the grocery store bathroom when I run in for my morning groceries. If I stop for a coffee or anything like that, then I'll use those bathrooms. Usually places like beaches, parks, stuff like that has an outdoor bathroom or a pit toilet that I can use. And then I also stop in to see friends and family, of course. If I'm in the backwoods, then I typically just bury my waste, but I have been to a few places that don't allow you to bury. So in those spots, I bring in hiking bags, which is basically like a doggy bag, but for humans, and you carry out your waste with you. We carry out the pets as well. As far as showers go, I shower at a lot of truck stops, campgrounds, friends' houses, gyms, sometimes leisure centers, like the places that you can go swimming or skating, have showers for really cheap, so I use all of those. Or I just dive straight into a lake. I also get a lot of questions about the Tesla itself. So the Tesla is a 2020 Model Y. She is the long range. Her name is Roxanne. On a full charge, Roxanne is typically pulling in about 470 kilometers for that full charge. I usually charge more to 90% because it's better for the Tesla. And like I said, I can charge for free a lot of the time. So I use an app called PlugShare to look up the chargers in my area and then also see what price they are. And a lot of the time, the slower chargers are cheaper. So I will find the slowest charger possible for the freest amount possible. And then I will go and park overnight while my car charges. I'll get a good night's sleep, and then I wake up in the morning fully rested, fully charged, for free usually, and head out to start my day. The faster chargers that can charge you in like half an hour are obviously a lot more convenient, but those ones are paid chargers, so they usually charge per kilowatt, and I tend to use those more if I'm doing like a fast road trip or something with a deadline where I can't sleep overnight at my stops. One of the big reasons that I live this way is to live as cheaply as possible so that I can work as little as possible. So it makes sense to me to be doing things for free whenever possible. It's held up really well to all of the things we've thrown at her, and honestly the interior even looks pretty good considering that we've lived in here for a year now. There's not any scratches on the seats from Finley's claws or anything. He's got a little scratching post in the back seat, so he uses that instead. As far as regular wear and tear, all you really have to worry about are the tires and brakes every once in a while. Oh, and the air filters, of course. But I learned how to change the air filters by myself, so I can do that now when that needs done. And then it's just the brakes and tires. So that's not too bad. Okay, last question for today is, what do you eat? Because I know that you guys realize I don't have a fridge. So I do have a cooler. I typically go for groceries every 2, maybe 3 days so that I can keep things nice and cool without using ice, because I hate dealing with ice in a cooler. It is so annoying to have to pour it out like multiple times a day. And I typically do sandwich stuff, like I do switch it up a little bit, but I feel like that's my go-to most of the time, just something for a bread, a sauce, a protein. I do a lot of smoked tofu, something green like peas, and something pickled like hot peppers. I'll throw that all in a sandwich and I will eat pretty much the exact same sandwich until those ingredients are gone, and then I'll go back to the store, reload on slightly different sandwich ingredients, and go again. A few of the other things that I do a lot of are pasta salads. There's a couple vegan pasta salads that I've found that are really, really good, and I just keep those around and add a different sauce or whatever. And I also do a bit of canned food, things like chili, lentil soup, stuff like that. I just heat it up with a little hot plate that I keep in the front trunk, and I power that with my little Bluetti power bank. Okay, we are getting close to Tofino and I am exhausted, so we're gonna pull over, plug in the car, go for a quick walk, and feed the boys some dinner. Then we're headed to bed to get an early start on the beautiful beach tomorrow.
Snoop! Careful! Oh my gosh, it's beautiful out here! Oh my goodness, good boy! This way! Whoa! Cool!
One of the things that I find hardest about traveling with both a cat and a dog is balancing their separate needs. Snow has a lot more energy to burn than Finley does, so I try to get him out on some solo walks. And when we're playing at the beach like this, Finley also doesn't love to join us. I've been working on acclimating Finley to the water over the last few years, but it's still not his favorite thing. When we're visiting places that water is the main attraction, I like to give him lots of breaks to make sure that he's not stressed out. When he's not with us, he's in the car with dog mode running.
Okay, so we are back on the beach. We've got Snow and Finley now. Hi! Here you are on the beach. I was just talking about you. Come on, Snow. Let's go, dude. Yeah, nice work. I don't really know if Finn is gonna like the water. He usually doesn't, but I thought he might like some of these little rocks that were out here, so we're gonna check those out. Snow, where are you? What are you doing? Chaos. It's chaos. It's almost like we haven't run in the water for long enough yet today. How is that possible? Hi. What are you doing? There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of sounds. You want to go up on the rock and then see what you think? Okay, let's do that. What do you think? Wow. What's going on? Hi. What do you think, dude? You like it? You want to come out? Yeah, hi, come on. What do you think, dude?
This day is absolutely flying by. I'm gonna have some dinner and relax a bit, and then go back out to enjoy the sunset with the boys.
Hi, buddy. What do you think? It's sunset at the beach.
We're kind of in the ocean. He's not super stoked. Come on, Snow! But you're being so good. So good. Look at the sunset behind us. Wow. Wow. Good job, Finley. We are at the Rainforest Trail in Tofino. It is absolutely beautiful. The boys are on their smelly dogs leashes and they have little matching bandanas today, which is so cute. See, little plaid. Yeah. There you go. Wow. Yeah, let's go. Good job. Oh yeah, there we go. Here. You like that? What do you think? You like it? You're so good. You're so curious. Danger. Look how cool this is. You're a good boy. Okay, so we're back at the beach. Yesterday it was really sunny and warm. Today, we can't even see the water because it's so foggy. It's gonna be cold. Come on! Look it, it's a little hermit crab in there. Ah, I used to have pet hermit crabs. I'm so excited right now. Good boy. Let's go. Come on, Snow. Finley. Yeah, good boy. Right over here, my love. Yeah, good boy. Nice sand. Nice sands, buddy. That feels so great. Yeah, you're acclimated now. Come on, let's go. Good boy. Yeah, let's go. Oh, you're going to dig again. Okay. The world is your litter box, my friend. Good boy. Good boys. Good job, little Finn. Good job. We're gonna go down this path here, okay? Yeah, nice work, buddy. Good boy. Speed track. Let's go, Snow. Follow that kitten. Good job. Nice walk, buddy. Alrighty, friends, we are back in Roxanne and headed to Victoria. Thank you so much for joining us on this little trip to Tofino. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow along on our adventures and leave a comment with any of your questions about living in a Tesla. We'll see you next time.